Good morning, everybody. Stevig's log. It is Christmas morning, and as I record this, you're all probably being woken up by your kids who want to open their presents. You're just trying to get some Christmas booty. But anyway, so Merry Christmas from all of us in the Stevig Castle family. Um, and from all of us here at Stevig's log, which is basically me and my girlfriend. So I want to tell you guys a couple stories. There we go. Okay. I'm not just gonna get on here and say Merry Christmas, everybody, and then go off. I want to tell you guys a couple stories. I'm gonna tell you. I want to talk to you about um, how people have gotten married over the centuries. Back in the day, your parents arranged your marriage. It was called a betrothal, and you married who they chose for you, and you lived with them for the rest of your life. And you know what? It works. It has worked. Historically, it has worked throughout history. So, being married isn't about finding the perfect person that you want to spend the rest of your life with. Although, if you find that, you're very lucky. But finding a husband or a wife is not about playing the dating game. It's not about going out there and trying to find the perfect person who's most suited to you. Finding somebody to marry is about finding somebody that you want to serve and love and sacrifice yourself for the rest of your life. And that's the beautiful thing, because I found somebody that I want to sacrifice myself for the rest of my life. If you can find somebody that, like, you enjoy putting yourself on the, like, if you enjoy sacrificing yourself so that they might have, or that they, might be better people because of your sacrifice, then marry that person. Um, but there's a cultural phenomenon where everybody's like, "Oh, I gotta find, the person with the best, butt, or the best rack, or or they've got to be good in bed, and I want her to look good on my arm as I walk through the grocery store." um, that shouldn't matter. That's not love. So, yeah, okay. So, I don't know. That's just something that has always been on my heart. You know what? I'm going to tell a story anyway. Okay, so I'm going to tell another story. I love this story. I told this story at my grandfather's funeral, and it just resonates with me. It has my entire life. So I'm going to tell you the story about how my grandfather met my grandmother. My grandfather was a pilot in the Army Air Force in World War II, flew a B-2 bomber over the Pacific, flew hundreds of missions. Um, so anyway, he's on leave or something one day. He's walking down the road with a buddy of his in Pennsylvania. He's from Iowa, but he's in Pennsylvania. Don't ask me how he got there. I don't know. But he's in Pennsylvania, and he walks by this house, and he sees like 8 or 10 women on the porch, because my grandmother had a lot of sisters. And there's like 8 or 10 girls on the porch. And he looks at my grandmother, and he nudges over to his buddy and says, "See that girl over there? I'm going to marry her." Several things stand out to me in this story. Number one, his eyes picked one person out of that whole gaggle. Is that a gaggle? Gaggle of women on the porch. And he said, I'm going to marry her. Number two, it says that previous generations were not afraid to make commitments. My grandfather liked what he saw, and he went after it. And he married her, and they were married for 52 years. Just saying. Think about that. He saw something he liked, and he went after it, and he pursued her until they died 50 some years later. That's commitment. Something that is sorely lacking in our culture today. I guess, I don't know. Of all the things that I learned from my grandfather, that is probably the one thing that resonates with me the most. That, and there was a right way to do everything and every other way was wrong. And if you didn't understand what the right way was, he made you feel like an idiot. There was a right way to do the garden. There was a right way to mow the grass. There was a right way to paint the house. So yeah, I just thought I'd throw that in there. Okay, so what? Alright, so I'm going to tell one more story. And then I'm going to go. But I just wanted to get on here and wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, because New Year's is next week. I get to work on New Year's Eve. It'll be fun. I get to work the night shift on New Year's Eve. Oh, yeah. So, okay, so I'm going to tell you the story about how I met Gina, my biological mother. So I was in 5th grade when I found out that I was adopted. Didn't know that before. So in 5th grade, I found out I was adopted, and that was about it. And I just let it go. I understood and accepted that my mother gave me up because she couldn't take care of me, and she wanted me to have a good life. I understood that. It resonated with me. I'm like, okay. By the time I was 17, it popped back up in my mind. I'd really like to know more about my biological family and where I come from. And again, my mama said, when the time is right, which she was indicating it wasn't right then, but when the time is right, I will help you find your biological family. So I'm like, okay. And again, filed it into the back of my brain, let it go. In 2001, I would have been 22. It was the spring of 2001. I was at my dad's house, and we were watching some show about, it was like, not, it wasn't Forensic Files, but it was some show about a criminal case where this couple set up a scam to adopt kids out and take payment, and they were taking payment and not giving the parents the kids. And this went on for a while. So we watched this show, and I don't know what it will. I don't know why, other than the providence of God, put it in my head I wanted to find my biological family. I became obsessed with finding my biological mother. So much so that I went home and wrote a song about it. I had a keyboard, a piano line that I'd been playing with for about 3 years. Never been able to do anything with it. It was it was four chords over and over again, and it was very dark. And everybody in brooding, and everybody was like, "Oh, I don't like that. It's dark and brooding, and blah blah blah." So in my obsession to find my biological mother, I took that piano piece. I added two more chords to no, I don't know. I added more chords to it, to the beginning of it and to the tail end of it, and turned it into what became a new life. And I wrote that song inspired by my obsession to find my biological mother. And now it's like one of my biggest, most popular songs. Everybody loves that song. So I'm glad I was able to do something productive with it. So I wrote the song, recorded a demo of it in 2001, and just became obsessed with finding my biological mother. And I did some digging. I remember I called a friend of mine who lived in Mackinac, Illinois, because people that lived in Mackinac got Bloomington phone books. People that lived in Morton, Illinois, like I did not. We didn't get Bloomington phone books. So I called a friend of mine who lived in Mackinac, and I'm like, "Hey, can you look through the Bloomington phone book?" Because I found out a little bit of information. I found out that the family that they were from Bloomington. No, yeah. By this point, it's like the summertime of 2001. I drove in my old beater van. You guys remember my old van? Some of you do. I had an old 91 Plymouth Voyager, and that thing would not die. You couldn't kill it. So I got in my van, and I drove to the lady's house who lived across the street. She had a German Shepherd dog kennel. And she lived in Mackinac, and she lived across the street from across the street from people that used to take in pregnant teenage girls that didn't really have anything going for them, and tried to help them out. So that is where my biological mother ended up. So I went to this lady's house because, okay, so here's the thing. The lady whose house I drove to with the dog kennel was my adoptive mom's boss at Caterpillar for a while. I can't remember her name. Winnie. Well, her name was Winnie, and she was an older lady. So I drove to her house because I had an idea of where she lived. I had to hunt it down, but I found it. I drove to her house, talked to her, tried to get some information on who, my biological mother was, because I was still obsessed. I found out her name, and that the family was from Bloomington. So I went and took that information, and I called my buddy up from Mackinac, said, "Hey, can you look through the Bloomington phone book and give me the numbers for every listing for the name Casseleye?" And he did, and I wrote them all down, and I cold called every one of them. I cold called every one of them to try to find information. I called a couple people who didn't know anything about it. A couple, oh, hey, okay. Good morning, baby. That's my wifey baby right there in the comments. And I love her very much. So I cold called them. A couple people didn't have any information. I finally got a hold of my Uncle Jack. And he had information. So I arranged to go over there and meet him. And I drove over there. And after before I went to work, okay, so by this point, I made arrangements to meet him. I then turned around and wrote another song. Yay, my baby Randall. What's up, Randall? I should have 2 viewers. My girlfriend's in here, too. So I drove over to... Oh, hold on, back up. Okay, so it's like... I think it's August. It's August, and I'm still so obsessed with finding my biological mother. I wrote another song with my little Casio keyboard. More synthy, less piano, but synthy. Very synth-heavy song called The Pouring Rain, which is another one of, like, my biggest songs. Like, everybody loves that song, too. And I actually took that song and went to a friend of mine's studio and recorded it. It's on my YouTube. It's on here. You can find it in my reels. So I recorded that song. So now I had 2 songs under my belt about it. And so September rolls around. It's September 10th, 2001. I go over to meet my Uncle Jack that afternoon, and I talk to him and get some important information. Find out they're all living up in central Iowa. And I basically spend the afternoon about him. We get to know each other. He gives me my sister's senior picture, which I still have in my wallet. It's all faded and it looks horrible. But because I got it in 2001, I've had it since 2001, but I still have it. So I got a picture of my sister. I found out I had uncles and everybody except my sister. My sister lived in southern Indiana, and everybody lived up in Iowa, and I'm in central Illinois at the time. All right, Randall, keep it real, brother. Have fun at work on Christmas. I heard the bells on Christmas Day or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, so I find out all kinds of information, and sadly I have to leave. I've got to go to work. I worked at a steakhouse in Peoria, Illinois called Ned Kelly's, and remember this because this is key. It's September 10th, 2011. So I go to work, and I've got all of this running through my head all night at work. And I'm bussing tables and bringing them back to the dish guy. And so I get to the end of my shift and my manager pulls me aside and he says, "Yeah, I don't know, you're just not cutting it. We're going to let you go." Granted, it was also payday, so I got my check, and he's like, "We're going to let you go before I accumulate any more hours on the next check." Oh, okay, sorry. Hey, so I need to do breakfast this morning. Did you get my text?
No.
Oh, okay, yeah, I need to do breakfast for these guys this morning. Cereal, bagels, and I got the coffee.
I'll already started.
Huh?
Coffee started.
Well, I was going to do coffee, because it's not until 7 o'clock. Breakfast isn't until 7 downstairs in the classroom.
I still started the coffee because Zach gets coffee too.
Okay, well, whatever.
And I got to be over there.
Yeah. So how do I get this stuff? Can you open the kitchen? Like, I need cereal and bagels and milk.
You're also going to have to be locked back up.
Huh?
Is that approved by staff? Because there's my.
Yeah, it was Dana told me to,
Okay,
because
so
I was going to be here and you weren't, and they have the day off, and
you start locking it all back up. Right
yes, I'll lock it back up. Thank you. Well, I need to know where it is. Anyway, okay, so okay, so where was I? Okay, so I just got fired from Ned Kelly's, from my job. I just got paid. I had nothing to lose. So I went home, packed up some of my stuff, because I knew I was going to be gone for a while. I put those two songs, A New Life and The Pouring Rain, played them on my computer on repeat. I don't know why, what possessed me to do this, but I did. So they started playing over and over those two songs, and I packed up my stuff, threw them in the van, and left. I'm headed to Iowa. I'm gonna find them. I'm going to hunt them down, track them down, and I'm going to find them. So I drove all the way up to Iowa. All I know is what county they live in. But I'm going to find them. Because I'm obsessed and I'm a man on a mission. So I drive up to Iowa, drive all night, get up there. Actually, it's about a 4-hour, 5-hour drive. So I get up there, I pull into Tama, Iowa. The sun is starting to come up. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. I pull into a Casey's. Mind you, it's 6 o'clock in the morning on September 11th, 2001. I pull into a Casey's, climb in the back seat, and sleep for a couple hours. I don't remember what time I woke up, but the timing of this is perfect. Like, God couldn't have set up the timing of this any better. So I wake up, I jump back in the driver's seat, I go inside to the Casey's, and I'm like, hey, I'm trying to find my biological mother. How would I go about doing that? She suggested that I go to the sheriff's office and see if they can look up a driver's license or something and find their address for me. So I go to the sheriff's office, and they said, no, we can't do that. But I happen to know the Castleeyes that live in Gladbrook. Drive up to the Casey's in Gladbrook, follow whatever road, stop, turn left, stop at the Casey's, and ask them, what's up?
I thought Mark was in there.
He was for a second.
Was he?
Yeah, he closed the door. He was like, I can hear you all the way downstairs. I need to know where the cereal and bagels and milk is.
It's in the dry storage.
It's in dry storage. All right, make sure Mark leaves that open for me, because I need to be able to get it to give breakfast to the guys, and then I'll lock it up when I'm done.
Okay. You got pops? You got pops?
Yeah.
Man, you live right now?
Yep.
Oh man, I better get out of your way, bro. I'll make my face on you, thanks.
Okay. Thank you.
You want?
Okay, so I get up to I drive up there. I get up to Gladbrook. I stop at the Casey's. There's a dude walking out the door as I'm walking in saying, oh my gosh, the towers are falling. It's the end of the world. And I'm just like, okay, I don't know what you're talking about, whatever. I'm on a mission. So I just go right by him. I walk in. I'm like, hey, I'm looking for the Castleeyes. Can you tell me where they live? Oh, yeah. Go down the street, turn right, go down about 5 blocks. It's a big yellow house on the corner. And so I'm like, okay. So I drive over there. Turns out it's my cousin Angie's house. So I meet my cousin Angie. And she's like, yeah, I can take you over there. So she takes me over to where my mom, Gina, lives, and is out in the country, all the way out in Traer, which is about a 40-minute drive from Gladbrook. So we drive over there. We get there. I come up. Her then husband, Mark, answers the door. I explain who I am. He's like, oh, I've been waiting for you. She told me this day would come. I'm like, okay. So we go inside. He's got the news on. We sit down. Planes are hitting the towers. And I have to admit, I'm not terribly interested. I'm about to meet my biological mother for the first time in my life. He calls her on the phone and says, you need to come home right now. And she's like, I'm out tanning with a friend of mine. And he's like, you need to come home right now. So she comes home. We're waiting for her to get there. We're watching the news. There are planes hitting the towers. The one plane had hit the first tower. It's on. There's smoke coming out of it. It's on fire or something. She gets home, and she's freaking out about the towers. She thinks that's why he called her to come home. So she walks in the door. She looks at the TV. She looks at him. She looks at me. She looks at the TV. And starts freaking out again. She's like, oh, what's going on? And he's like, you need to sit down. Somebody's here to see you. She looks intently at me. I stand up. Angie says something about July 25th, 1978. She looks at me with eyes I can't describe, and she asks me, are you Jeremy or Chris? And right then, I knew nothing about a Chris. Right then and there, like, immediately, I think of my best friend, that he's been my best friend all the way through high school. And he was my best friend at the time. And then I dismiss it and I'm like, nah. There's no way. Somehow I knew or I suspected in my head who she was talking about. And that she was talking about my best friend from high school. So I said, I'm Jeremy. We hugged. She told me, I knew you were going to come find me one of these days. We sit down. We talk for a minute. I light a cigarette, and she laughs and says, oh, you're a smoker. Because everybody in the Castle-Life family is a smoker. And then we start paying attention to the news. And as we're sitting there, the second plane hits the tower, and they fall. And we're just like, wow, okay, what a crazy day. So I ended up staying up there for a week. She called everybody in the family. We all met over at my Uncle Victor's apartment back in Gladbrook. So we all go over there. I had my guitar with me. I busted out. We're all passing around the guitar. I come from a family full of musicians. We're all sitting around playing the guitar, singing songs. We put on the Beatles, and we're all singing and harmonizing to the Beatles. Here's people I've never met before, and we're singing harmonies like we've been in a band for years. We spend the day together, drinking all day long. And we just had a great time. I ended up spending a week up there. And as the week progresses, I'm talking to Gina about who Chris might be. I come to the conclusion I'm pretty sure it's my best friend throughout high school because I knew he was adopted. Nobody knew anything about it. So I spend the week getting to know my biological family and found out some things I didn't want to know. But nevertheless, I found my people. Finally. So I come back, and before I even go home, I go to Chris's house. And his mom answers the door, and she immediately, as soon as I'm looking for Chris, she's like, Chris isn't here. Actually, I need to talk to you. So I come inside, I'm talking to his mom, I explain the situation, I just met my biological mother. And I ask her, is Chris my brother? And she takes a deep breath and sighs and says, he is your brother. They knew all along. Apparently my adoptive mom, Lynn, she knew. My dad didn't know. I don't know how she knew and he didn't, but he didn't know. So he was blown away by it just like everybody else was. Chris comes over to my house that night, having his mom told him, hey, Jeremy's your brother. So he comes over to my house and we hang out and he's like, dude, you're my brother. So we invite all our friends over and to tell everybody. So we're all over at my house, my apartment, and we tell everybody, hey, we just found out he's my brother. And everybody just, their jaws hit the floor and they just look dumbfounded. And one guy speaks up and he's like, I feel like I've always known. He was quoting Return of the Jedi, where Luke tells Leia that she's his sister, and she's like, oh, I feel like I've always known. So yeah, I found out my best friend all the way through high school was my half brother, and I have a sister in southern Indiana that a month later I would go meet her. And we had a blast. That was fun too. So yeah, that's pretty much the story. I love telling that story. And so I thought, you know what? I'm going to get on here. I'm going to tell that story. So that's the story. Baby, are you still here? You haven't said anything else. So yeah. What a story to tell on Christmas. So yeah, it's oh my gosh, it's 6:23. I thought it was 5:30. I gotta go make breakfast for the foundation guys. Okay, well, so that's the story. I hope all you guys have a Merry Christmas. Spend wonderful time with your family. Have fun with your kids, watching them open presents with zeal and delight. I know watching your kids open presents is a glorious thing. Getting woken up by them at 5:30 in the morning, Mommy, let's go open presents, is not a glorious thing. But that's what Christmas coffee is for. Coffee on Christmas has always been a staple tradition in my life since I was in Bible college. So since I was 19, every year, coffee on Christmas morning. Special coffee, which is what I'm going to treat the foundation guys to. I'm going to treat them to my favorite Christmas tradition, Christmas coffee. So, on that note, I got to go make breakfast for these guys. Merry Christmas. May you have a blessed New Year. And Jesus loves you. That's why we have Christmas. He came to live as one of us. Grace and peace.
Are you serving cereal in the morning? This morning?
Cereal and bagels.
You know how to do all that,
Yeah, I know how to pour cereal.
Okay.
And pour milk in it.
There's coffee.
I'm gonna need spoons.
There's coffee down there.
Yeah, I was gonna make my
There's-
coffee, but
Song's here, so he can get you.
oh, okay, he is here. Okay, cool. So, all right, grace and peace. I'm out. Merry Christmas.